Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is May 16th and we are in between rainstorms. We've already had one this morning. I got out here and tried to get some work done. I had to stop. Storm came through. The sun is out again. It is a beautiful day. The temperatures are amazing and we are going to start that summer garden, not the spring garden, but the summer garden, finally. The weather is finally cooperating, y'all, and I can start putting in my summer vegetables. And I'm super excited. Now, I don't have a lot of time because there is another rainstorm coming through, but I should have a little time to work on at least one of my transplants. And that one will be our tomato plants. I will be putting tomato plants in that bed there. And this one, basically anywhere where you see the trellising in this area right here. I've already laid my plants out where I'm going to put them. And the ground is super wet, y'all, but we're going to try to get this done and not get too wet or too muddy, I should say. But we're going to put some here as well as throughout these 3 beds right here. And that's all we really have time to work on today. And I need to get my peppers in. I need to get things that I'm going to start from seeds in, right? There's a lot that I need to do, but I only got time to get this one task done, and I wanted you to come and do it with me. I like to separate my tomatoes by varieties, or I should say more like colors. The physical properties of the tomato, not necessarily the name and the variety, so to speak, right? It's the physical properties of the tomatoes. So the first thing that I need to do is make sure that I got good labels on everything. And over time, my labels have completely faded out. So we're going to get rid of these little bitty labels like this. And we're going to use my really big labels. I get these labels off of Amazon. There's nothing special about them. They're just really big labels so you can see them. So I'm going to try to reuse what I can before I make new labels. That's the first step that I need to do. And then we will divide these tomatoes up by physical characteristics. So let me get my labels. I will bring you back once I got these beds laid out properly, and then we will go over all of the different varieties that we're going to plant up today. And I'm also going to share with you how I start my tomato plants. I do it just a little different than most people. But, you know, honestly, it's about the same, but there's just a little different tweak that I do that a lot of people don't do. So let me get my labels and I'll bring you back. Like some of these are Old Faithful, like Cherokee Purple. I know Cherokee Purple's going in here and that's easy. I know where I need to put that tag. But some of these are going to be new to me this year. And I'm going to have to create tags for those. And yes, I'll have more than one Cherokee Purple. So this is what we're working on for the moment. Let me find my tags. I will bring you back and show you these amazing tomatoes that we're going to put in the garden this year. Most of these are in good shape. Okay, everybody, I started making my labels and I realized something pretty significant. Actually, 2 things that are pretty significant. One, y'all, I lost a lot of plants. I took my eye off the ball and I lost a lot of plants. So a lot of the things that I started, they're gone, y'all. They didn't make it. My travel schedule has really had me lose quite a few plants this year, but that's okay. There's still more than I can use, for sure, more than I can use. There will not be a plant sale this year. By the time I put my stuff in here and put in over at the neighbors, y'all, there's just not enough left to have a plant sale. All right, so that's the one thing. I lost a lot of plants. The second thing is that Because of the plants that I've lost, I don't have a clean way to divide my plants up by physical appearance. So I'm gonna have to do something a little different. And y'all, I'm all about things being symmetrical and organized. And this year, I'm gonna have to mix things up. I'm gonna fill my plants in across these areas here that we talked about. You're gonna fill the plants in and just go right down the line. It doesn't matter if it's a black tomato or an orange tomato or a paste tomato. I'm just gonna go down the line and fill in. I don't have as many spaces this year as I've had in previous years because I redesigned the garden, and y'all, I had way too many tomatoes before. But because of that, I got to be very strategic on which ones I put in the main garden area, because this is where we're going to get the best sun, and I'm hoping for the biggest crops. So yeah, we're just going to start down the line and start putting one of everything in. And once I got one of everything in, we'll start back over. And then it's just going to be a rainbow mix of tomatoes. But I'm still going to share with you all of the different tomatoes that I've been able to identify. The name tags on some of these are so far gone, I don't have a clue what it was. I can tell it's a tomato because I can identify the plant, but I don't know what kind of tomato plant it is. I don't know if it's a dwarf. I don't know if it's an indeterminate, a determinate. I don't know on some of these tags. So we will see where we go. So we'll go ahead and get started in this bed that's in the far back. So let me step forward again and kind of show you the area we're planting in. So we're going to start in that bed there, and we're going to work our way forward. So there's a total of 3 beds here. And then we have this bed here that we're going to put tomatoes in. We will not be able to put tomatoes in that one right there. That bed right there is for cantaloupe, or melons, I should say. So we got 4 beds to work with over here. But we got my neighbor's garden as well that we're going to plant up. But let's get started, y'all. Let's get started. So the first bed we're going to plant up is this one here. And I'm going to start on this back end with my cherry style tomatoes. I only need 1 plant, and that's more than enough to feed the family for the whole season. But y'all, I like the colors. I like the different varieties. So we're going to have 3 different colors, or 2 colors. Yeah, I just wish I could read it. I can't read the tag at all. But anyway, we're going to get started. We are going to put in this bed right here, the first things we're going to plant is champagne bubbles. And here's a picture of champagne bubbles. I grow it every year. I enjoy that one. So we absolutely will have 1 and only 1 plant in this bed here of champagne bubbles. We're going to also do black strawberry, which I didn't make up a label for that one. So I got to get one for black strawberry. This one I think is the most gorgeous cherry style tomato I've ever grown. Supernova is kind of a grape style tomato. That's going to be another one. So we're only doing the 3: Supernova, champagne bubbles, and black strawberry. Now, before I get too far ahead of myself, at least I think that's Supernova, by the way. But before I get too far ahead of myself, let's talk about the process that we're going to use. Let's get these down here out the way. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Look at that. It took root. I thought this was a dead grapevine. It's green and it's taking root, y'all. No, I got grapes in another spot. Now, let's get back to what we're trying to do. Those grapes can't be growing in here. When I plant my tomatoes, I do mostly like everyone else. I plant the tomatoes as deep as I can plant them, and I'm going to trellis them with this cattle panel trellising system. So as they grow, we will weave it in through there, and that will be the support system for the tomatoes. But, oh, in my bed, I have Happy Frog, and only Happy Frog in this bed here. This is a new bed to us. Uh-oh. Y'all, I might have to get that out. Y'all, I got grapes trying to grow up in this bed. That's going to be a problem. Happy Frog is all that's in here. when I plant my tomatoes, I like to plant them on their side and bury them as deep as I possibly can bury them. That's the process that I like to use. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, the more surface area that I can put under the ground so that each of the little, here, let me pull one out. So this is a champagne bubbles here. But if I plant all of it under the ground except for these last couple little leaves here, all of these little hairs on the tomato plant will form a root, and then it will latch into the soil and it should give me a stronger root system. That's what we're going for. So planting it as deep as I can doesn't have to be straight down. I'm going to lay it on its side and it will eventually stand back up. So we don't have to worry about it standing up. Now in the hole, we're going to put some fertilizer. We're going to mix that fertilizer in. And then we're going to use Mykos because these are transplants. And we're going to lay this plant on its side. And y'all, now this is one plant, but for whatever reason, it split right at the root and became two. And I'm going to plant both of them just like that. I sure am. So we got it in the ground. Eventually it will stand up and it'll be right here on this side of the bed. Now we're going to move over and do the same thing for the next one. And we're going to work our way down this bed for everything we're going to put in this bed. I will bring you back when I'm planting something other than cherry tomatoes, so I could let you know what I'm planting. And I just want to remind you that one cherry tomato plant, y'all, will feed a family of 4 by itself. You don't need a whole bunch of them. They are so prolific, and then they're going to seed and they're going to be coming back next year as well. So something to keep in mind as you're thinking about it. The other thing you can do, you can break off all of the little leaves that you're going to put underground when you turn it sideways. And just a reminder, I'm only doing one of each. That's all I can spare from a room or space standpoint. Don't forget to mix in your fertilizer because your fertilizer can burn your plants. I'm just using an all-purpose general fertilizer. All right, we're going to move on to the next style tomato plant. And for this next style tomato plant, we're going to start with, what is this? A Paul Robeson. It's one of my black style, darker shade color, that kind of thing. And y'all, I started doing this with my plants a long time ago because my beds were only like 6 to 8 inches deep. I couldn't go any deeper than that. So I started laying them on the side to bury as much of the plant as possible. And that's how I started doing this. And I've had excellent luck since I started doing this. I showed you Paul Robeson. The next one I'm going to do is called Brown Sugar, which is a new one for us this year. There's the picture of it. Oh goodness, y'all, I didn't put my tags in. I'm trying to mess up for real. Ooh, I think I did that. I might have to change those tags eventually. We're going to do a Berkeley's Tie Dye. That one's a new one for us this year as well. Berkeley's Tie Dye. And a blue fruit. Actually, we're going to put blue fruit down here. All right, y'all, we put 7 in this bed. Berkeley's Tie Dye, Brown Sugar, Paul Robeson, Black Strawberry, Supernova, Champagne Bubbles, and Blue Fruit. And this bed is done. And y'all, I'm putting my tomatoes roughly a foot apart. This bed, I believe, is 8 feet long, and I got 7 tomatoes in there, so just a little bit more. I will make sure that I prune them down to only 1 or 2 leads initially, and then they're going to get out of control, and then it is what it is. But this bed is finished. Let's talk about what we're going to put in the next bed. All right, y'all, I got the next round ready to go. Whew, y'all, I didn't realize just how little space I have for tomatoes. I mean, compared to past seasons, y'all, I could easily put almost 100 tomatoes in my beds. I've lost a lot of grow space for tomatoes, but when you're trying to grow 60 different varieties of tomatoes, you really do need that space, but I don't have it. So we got 7 different varieties over here. The next 7 different varieties that we're putting in over here, I'll talk you through it as I'm getting them planted. If we start with our, not finish, but start with our paste tomatoes, down here on the end, I'm going to be putting in a super sauce. This thing is big, super meaty. Of course, y'all hear the pictures of it. Very little seed cavity. It might not have any seeds. It might be seedless. I don't know, y'all. The next new one to me is Queen of the Night. And I think I only got one plant that survived my travel. After that, we're going to do something called Palomino or something like that. That one's a new one to me as well this year. And it's small. It's one of the transplants that I never up potted. So hopefully it'll survive. The weather's supposed to be really good, so we should be okay. And it's supposed to be super big as well. And it's got those orange and red colors in it. So I'm super excited to try that one. The next one, and y'all, my plants look horrible, but the next one that I'm putting in the ground and pray that it survives is my Big Mama. It used to be my absolute favorite paste tomato. Now it comes in second to super sauce. And I'm hoping I get enough though, because I do need to can up some this year. I didn't can much last year. I canned very, very little last year, and I need to do some this year. The next one we're going to do is Opalka. Again, these are all different types of, at the moment, except for that Queen of the Night, these are all different types of paste style tomatoes. The Queen of the Night, I showed you the picture of it, again, new to me, never grown it before, but it was pretty. If nothing else, it was pretty. I'm going to move down to 2 of my favorite tomatoes. Well, one is my favorite and others tell me this one is going to be my favorite. So for the next 2 is my Cherokee Purple, which is my favorite tomato from an overall taste standpoint. Making a beautiful tomato sandwich with that is absolutely delicious, true tomato taste. But somebody told me that carbon is going to take the place of my Cherokee Purple. So we're going to see. We're going to get this one planted up. And again, it's one of those that I never up potted, y'all. Hey, it is what it is, y'all. But hopefully it'll take off. The weather's good. It should be just fine in this spot here. It should get happy very soon. And that's the next 7. So that's only 14 different varieties out of 60, y'all. We're in trouble because I don't have enough places to put this many tomatoes. But we're going to keep right on trucking along. Now, don't get me wrong, y'all. Some of the tomatoes are going to go in my green stalk. So that's a good 10, 15, 6 times 4 is 24. Somewhere between 15 and 24 plants will go into the green stalks. So that's a big chunk of the tomatoes as well. And we got space over at the neighbors. But I usually like to plant a couple of the same tomatoes in the bed. So if one fails, you got a backup. So I'm going to have to make sure that I get at least 2 of my favorites somewhere throughout this garden. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next bed. So this is my next bed right here. And over here, y'all, I thought I was going to put just like what I call specialty tomatoes. They're not necessarily the right tomatoes, or they're not really tomatoes. Like, for example, I'm putting my tomatillos over here. I have 3 tomatillos that survived, and I got 3 in the bed here. And that already took up almost half of this bed. So I only got 4 spots left. And in these 4 spots, I'm going to put my great white. And there's a picture of the great white. I'm also going to put in here the green giant. And the great white, I've grown it for a couple of years now. It's just different. That's why I grow it. And this green giant is not so much for me, but as for others, because so many people like green, fried green tomatoes. Not me. Mom likes them, but she really don't like green tomatoes. She prefers the tomato to be turning red just a little bit. So I figured if the tomato's supposed to be green and it softens up just a little bit, she should enjoy that one. I won't, but she will. So that's the next 2 that are going in here. And then the last 2, I'm going to go ahead and put another carbon over here. and another Cherokee Purple. Again, my favorite tomatoes. I needed to get 2 spots in here, so this is where they will go. Actually, I'm going to switch them around a little bit. I'm going to put them toward the center versus on the end. That's what we're going to do. All right, y'all, let me get these in and I'll bring you back when I get to the next bed. This is the next bed that we're going to plant. This one's not quite as long as the other ones because of the shape that I put it in. I made it wider versus super long, which is fine. But in this bed, I'm going to put just red and orange tomatoes. We're going to add steak sandwich down here on the end. It is usually the largest red beefsteak tomato that I grow. So putting it down here on the end, it's going to get the most sunlight as the sun progresses across my yard. So we're going to put the steak sandwich, and y'all, I only got one. There's only one in here. So y'all, I've lost so many. And then we're going to put super steak, which is this one. And a lot of these beefsteaks, y'all, they look alike. So I probably won't be able to tell the difference between them once they start growing. So that's why the sign's going to be important. Then we're going to go into steakhouse. Those are all burpees seeds. That's where I got them from, was burpees. The next one we're going to put in here is a Korean long. I never up potted that one either. And then we're going to go into big rainbow and pineapple. And y'all, those are super sweet tomatoes, the big rainbow and pineapple. They're good tomatoes, but they're more sweet. I prefer a more traditional taste, and these don't have that, but they're still really, really good tomatoes. The big rainbow is beautiful. And if I remember, and I'm not getting it mixed up with the pineapple, when you cut into the big rainbow, that yellow and orange colors kind of swirl inside, not just on the outside. Y'all, it feels like it took forever for this season to start. Usually I'm in the ground like 2 weeks earlier than it is right now, but the weather just has not cooperated at all. But here we are, we're here now, we're doing it, we're getting it in, so we're gonna be okay. If I had went ahead and put it in here, they wouldn't have grown because it's too cold. So I had to wait for the weather to be right. I'm hoping that we have a good year this year. I am in desperate need of some good weather. So earlier today, while it was raining, y'all, I needed something to do. So y'all, guess what? I went to the community garden. I sure did. Not that I could do anything out there, but I got to go to the community garden to look at our plot. And oh, y'all, it's a nice plot. I will definitely bring you along. I'm going to move some things to the community garden, and hopefully I'll get better luck with them at the community garden versus in my garden. I don't believe there's raccoons at the community garden or skunks, but there are definitely rabbits. So I'm going to have to put some protection up at the community garden, but it's a beautiful plot. It's in a beautiful location. And it's right next to this one single tree where my family can kind of sit and hang out at the tree while I'm working in the garden. So I'm super excited to get started there. But again, it rained all morning. It's too wet to do that kind of stuff. But it's not too wet to get out here and get these tomatoes planted. So let me show you where we are. 6 tomatoes right there. And that's all, 6. I have 7 tomatoes in there. Some of them might not make it because they're so tiny. They just might not make it. But I got 7 in this bed and this bed, as well as that one back there. Y'all, that's only 27 plants. And I didn't hit every variety yet. So I am going to take away from one of my cucumber containers that I planned on doing cucumbers in, just the one, so I can put in my Hungarian heart right here. Hungarian heart. We're going to put that one in this one right here. And only in this one because this one doesn't match the design. Over here, I got 1, 2, and there's a third one back there. So it's going to have white cucumbers growing up right there, which is going to be perfect. But this one right here, I can take it away. It should be okay. And I'm going to put a Hungarian heart in there. So I'll have one pot of tomatoes. Actually, it'll be a few more pots. But then everything else is in beds or in my green stalks. So let's get that last one planted up and then I'll bring you back. I decided to go ahead and set up this additional rolling tomato planter from Vigo Garden. I already have one. This is the second one. I decided to go ahead and set it up now because tomatoes are going in it anyway. So let's just go ahead and put 2 tomatoes in it. I've been saving this bag of Happy Frog for this planter. And I'm already putting tomatoes in, y'all, so let's put them in. I had to put it together, though. That was the only thing. And I was being lazy. I really like these because they hold water really well. When I get lazy and I don't water the way I'm supposed to, I'm still okay. Yeah, I was getting ready to call it quits, and I'm like, come on, Kim, go on to do this work. It probably took me 10 minutes to put it together, if that. So I got a little rest break, and I went ahead and put together this planter. And it's supposed to be for 1 tomato plant. I'm putting in 2. I am. I'm putting in a Paul Robeson and I think a rainbow. I planted up the other one already, so I'll show that one to you as well as soon as I finish this one. So I got my 2 in there. We need to add the trellising system. There she is, y'all. She is put together. Now I'm going to show you the other one in just a moment. I got my 2 little plants in here. Should be 1. I put 2. Yep, I sure did. But I'll keep it trimmed back, make sure there's good airflow and all that kind of good stuff. There are so many different ways to grow tomatoes, y'all. You don't have to grow them in metal raised beds. You don't have to use cattle panel trellising. You can put them in pots with trellising like this, right? That's just one other way to grow tomatoes. You can grow tomatoes in 5-gallon buckets. There is no reason to get all fancy with it. My neighbor's son that lives just up the way here, he builds wooden terraces, I guess you would call it, where you can put 5-gallon buckets inside them. And in those 5-gallon buckets, you can grow all kinds of stuff, right? 5 gallons is more than enough to grow peppers and tomatoes and eggplants and all that kind of stuff. Here's a picture of what he does. And if you're interested in what he does, let me know. I'll send you his contact, that kind of stuff. But all I'm trying to tell you is that there's so many different ways of doing it. There's not the right way. There's not the wrong way. There are many, many different ways. You just have to find the way that works for you. And you can see, even in my own garden, I'm using several different ways to grow tomatoes. Now, let me show you this setup that we've gotten done so far. All right, we just did this one here. I already have that one over there. We got it planted up as well. We got Queen of the Night and Palomino in that one. So I got these 2 pots. I got the one that we did over there beside this bed, and then we also did 4 metal raised beds today, y'all. I consider this to be a good day in the garden setting up tomatoes. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, consider subscribing, turning on notifications, and telling your friends and your family all about it. And we got a ton more things to do. Like, we got to get over there to that garden as well. Come back and visit me again real soon. Bye.